Have you ever been lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, your room quiet, but your mind louder than ever, replaying the same thought like a broken record? Maybe it's that conversation you had earlier today where you said something awkward. Maybe it's a decision you regret making years ago. Or maybe it's a future event that hasn't even happened yet, but your brain insists on running through every possible scenario as if predicting the future could save you from pain. If that sounds familiar, then you're not alone. Because that endless loop, that mental cage, has a name. It's called overthinking. And tonight, we're going to open that cage, look inside, and understand why your brain traps you this way. But before we dive deep into the psychology of overthinking, I want to pause for just one moment. Tell me in the comments below, where in the world are you watching from? And what time is it right now? I always find it fascinating that while one person is watching this at midnight, fighting to quiet their restless thoughts, another person might be watching in the middle of the day, hoping to silence that inner noise before it spirals. And if you're here, searching for answers, I want to invite you to like this video, share it with someone you know who struggles with overthinking, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Because what you truly about to discover may not just explain your thoughts, it may change the way you live your life. Now, let's step into the story. Imagine this. It's late at night. The world outside is silent, but inside your head, it's chaos. You tell yourself, I'll stop thinking after 5 more minutes. But 5 minutes turn into 30. 30 into an hour. And before you know it, the night is gone. You're exhausted. Your body craves rest. But your mind refuses to let go. You replay the same scenario. What you said. What you should have said. What might happen tomorrow. It feels like your brain is a courtroom, and you're on trial for every choice you've ever made. The jury? Your own thoughts? And the verdict? Never-ending doubt. This isn't just a story. It's a reality millions live with daily. Psychologists call this rumination, a mental loop where your thoughts circle the same subject without ever reaching a conclusion. It's like running on a treadmill. You burn energy, you sweat, your heart races, but you never move forward. And here's the haunting part. Overthinking isn't just a bad habit. It's a psychological mechanism wired into us, born from our brain's deepest instincts for survival. But what was once meant to protect us, now traps us. Let's go back in time, thousands of years ago. Imagine our ancestors sitting around a fire, worried about a storm that might destroy their crops, or a predator lurking in the dark. Their survival depended on their ability to think ahead, to predict danger, to replay past mistakes, and learn from them. This ancient survival skill, the ability to anticipate threats, was crucial for staying alive. But fast forward to today, and the predator is gone. The storm is no longer life-threatening. Yet your brain still acts as though your survival depends on replaying every possible outcome. That's why, when your boss sends you a short email that says, "We need to talk," your brain instantly lights up with possibilities. Did I do something wrong? Am I about to be fired? Was my last project not good enough? You replay it endlessly, preparing for a danger that might not even exist. This is where the thriller begins, because inside your mind, the danger always feels real. The stage is set. The lights are dim. Your brain is the director, the actor, and the audience all at once. And the play it puts on? A story of fear, doubt, and regret. Every scene is magnified. Every mistake replayed in slow motion. Every future possibility exaggerated into disaster. You tell yourself it's just your imagination, but your body believes otherwise. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your chest tightens. The line between thought and reality begins to blur. Psychologists explain this by looking at the brain itself. When you're overthinking, two powerful regions go to war. The prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making part of your brain, tries to analyze every detail, searching for certainty. But at the same time, the amygdala, the fear center, pumps anxiety into your system, warning you of threats, even imaginary ones. The result is a mental tug of war, and you're the rope being pulled in both directions. But here's where the story twists. Overthinking is seductive. It whispers in your ear, if you just think a little longer, you'll figure it out. If you just replay it one more time, you'll finally understand. You convince yourself that overthinking is productive, that somehow, by spinning your mind endlessly, you'll stumble upon the perfect answer. Yet the truth is darker. Overthinking doesn't solve problems. It multiplies them. Every time you circle the same thought, your anxiety grows. Every time you analyze what could go wrong, your confidence shrinks. The very act of trying to control the future makes you lose control of the present. Let me share a story of Sarah. She's a bright, hardworking student who once missed a question in class. It was a small mistake, something everyone overlooked, but not Sarah. That night, she replayed the moment in her head. She imagined her classmates judging her, her professor doubting her intelligence. The next day, she hesitated to raise her hand in class. One mistake had spiraled into endless self-doubt, fueled by overthinking. Weeks later, she avoided class participation altogether, convinced she wasn't good enough. What started as a harmless thought had grown into a chain of fear that shaped her reality. And that's the power of overthinking. It takes small sparks and turns them into wildfires. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many hours of your life have been stolen by thoughts that never led anywhere? How many nights of sleep? How many chances to be present with your loved ones? Lost because your mind was somewhere else, stuck in the past, or trapped in the future. Overthinking doesn't just steal your peace, it steals your time. And time is the one thing we never get back. But here's where it gets even more chilling. Overthinking is addictive. Just like a gambler pulling the slot machine lever again and again, hoping for a win, your brain keeps running the same thoughts, hoping for a sense of relief. Sometimes you do feel better after thinking things through. That small reward tricks your brain into believing that more thinking equals more solutions. But it's a lie. The relief is temporary. The cycle begins again. Think of it like a horror story where the monster is invisible. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's always there, lurking in the shadows of your mind, whispering doubts into your ears. You try to ignore it, but the more you resist, the louder it becomes. This is the haunting reality of overthinking. It feeds on your silence, grows in your hesitation, and thrives in your fears. And yet, as terrifying as it feels, the story doesn't end here. Because while overthinking may feel like a trap with no escape, psychology holds the keys. But to understand those keys, we need to go deeper into the science of your thoughts, the roots of your fears, and the hidden mechanisms of your brain. In the next part of this series, we're going to uncover exactly how overthinking hijacks your mind, the hidden dangers it poses to your health, and why your brain, despite knowing the truth, refuses to let go. So stay with me, because the story is just getting started. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff. Below you is a dark, endless abyss. Your mind whispers, what if you fall? What if you slip? What if one wrong step ruins everything? Your heart starts racing. Your palms get sweaty, and suddenly, It doesn't matter if the cliff is real or just in your imagination. Your body reacts as if the danger is already there. That is what overthinking does. It convinces your brain that the what-ifs are real, that the future is as threatening as the present, and that the past still has the power to hurt you. You see, overthinking isn't just a habit. It's a war fought inside your brain every single day. To understand this war, we need to meet the soldiers. On one side, we have the prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain. This is the planner, the analyzer, the thinker that tries to make sense of the world. On the other side, we have the amygdala, the tiny almond-shaped structure deep within your brain that screams, "Danger! Danger! Danger!" Whenever you sense uncertainty, the amygdala flares up like a fire alarm, even if the threat isn't real. Together, these two forces create the perfect storm. Your prefrontal cortex wants to solve the problem, while your amygdala keeps fueling fear. The result? An endless cycle of thoughts that never reach resolution. Think about it like this. Your brain is a courtroom, and the trial never ends. The prefrontal cortex is the lawyer, presenting arguments, evidence, and logic. The amygdala is the prosecutor, driven by fear, always warning of danger. And you? You're the judge, exhausted, stuck in the middle, listening to both sides fight endlessly with no final verdict. That's why overthinking feels so draining. You're not just thinking. You're running a full-blown trial inside your head, and the jury never goes home. But the story gets darker, because while your mind spins in circles, your body begins to pay the price. Studies in psychology and neuroscience reveal that overthinking doesn't just affect your thoughts, it rewires your biology. Every time you replay a stressful memory, your body reacts as if the event is happening all over again. Your stress hormones spike, your muscles tense, your sleep gets disrupted. Over weeks, months, and years, this invisible war begins to carve scars into your health. Anxiety grows sharper, depression creeps in, even your immune system weakens. The mind doesn't just imagine pain, it creates it. Let me take you into the story of Daniel. He was a young professional with everything ahead of him. Intelligent, ambitious, full of potential. But Daniel had a secret. He could not stop overthinking. After every meeting at work, he replayed each word he said, each glance from his boss, each silence from his colleagues. At night, he lay awake, heart pounding, asking himself, "Did I do something wrong? Did I sound stupid? Did I ruin my chance at promotion?" Slowly, his nights turned sleepless, his days filled with fatigue. His performance dropped, his confidence shattered, and the very thing he feared, failure, started to become his reality. That's the cruel irony of overthinking. The more you fear failure, the more it brings you closer to it. And it doesn't stop there. Overthinking creeps into your relationships too. Have you ever sent a text and stared at your phone, overanalyzing every second the other person took to respond? They saw my message. Why didn't they reply? Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Do they not care anymore? What begins as a simple delay spirals into paranoia, self-doubt, and conflict. Overthinking whispers lies into your relationships, convincing you that rejection is hiding behind silence, that betrayal is hidden in every pause. In truth, sometimes the other person was just busy, but your mind had already written a tragic script. And then there's the most dangerous illusion of all: control. Overthinking tricks you into believing that if you just think hard enough, if you just analyze every angle, you can control the future. But here's the truth. Control is an illusion. No amount of thinking can erase uncertainty. No amount of worrying can guarantee safety. Yet your brain doesn't care. It clings to control like a drowning man clings to driftwood, even as it drags you deeper. That's why overthinking feels endless, because your brain is chasing something that doesn't exist. Psychologists call this the illusion of certainty. Humans crave it. We want to know how the story ends. We want to know that we'll succeed, that people will like us, that nothing will go wrong. But life doesn't come with guarantees. And when the brain can't find certainty, it keeps searching, like a detective chasing clues in a case that has no solution. You become stuck in an endless investigation, looking for an answer that doesn't exist. And that's why overthinking never feels complete. It's a puzzle with missing pieces, a maze with no exit. But the thriller deepens, because overthinking doesn't just haunt the present, it steals your future. Every time you hesitate, replay, and doubt, opportunities slip away. You don't ask that question in class because you fear sounding stupid. You don't apply for that job because you fear rejection. You don't confess your feelings because you fear heartbreak. And in the end, it's not the mistake you feared that hurts you. It's the silence you chose, the opportunities you never took, the moments you let slip by. Overthinking convinces you that safety lies in waiting. But the truth is, waiting only creates regret. And yet, the most chilling part of all is this: you know it's happening. Unlike other habits that sneak into your life unnoticed, overthinking is loud. You feel it. You recognize it. You lie in bed and whisper to yourself, "I need to stop thinking. I need to sleep." But the thoughts don't obey. They march on, louder, stronger, as if your mind itself is betraying you. That's why people describe overthinking as a prison where the jailer and the prisoner are the same person. You are trapped by yourself, and escape feels impossible. But is it truly impossible? Here is where the story takes its turn. Psychology tells us that while overthinking is powerful, it is not unbeatable. Just as your brain has learned to overthink, it can also learn to let go. The human brain is not a fixed machine. It is plastic, adaptable, capable of rewiring itself. The patterns that imprison you can be broken, but only if you understand the keys. And those keys are not what you expect. They aren't about fighting your thoughts or silencing your mind. They're about changing your relationship with your thoughts, seeing them not as enemies, but as clouds drifting through the sky. In the next part of this series, we are going to unlock those keys. We'll dive into the methods psychologists and neuroscientists recommend for breaking free of the cycle. We'll explore powerful techniques, backed by science, that allow you to step out of the courtroom in your head and reclaim control of your life. And most importantly, we'll reveal the hidden strength inside you, the part of your mind that overthinking has been trying to silence all along. Picture this. You're standing in a dark hallway. Behind you are all the rooms filled with memories you keep revisiting. The mistakes, the regrets, the awkward conversations, the chances you didn't take. In front of you is another endless hallway filled with doors, each one representing the future. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if everything goes wrong? The past keeps pulling you back. The future keeps dragging you forward. And in the middle of it all, you stand paralyzed. That is the life of an overthinker, caught between ghosts of yesterday and shadows of tomorrow, forgetting the only thing that's real, today. But here's the secret. The lock on that hallway door isn't made of steel. It's made of thought. And anything made of thought can be broken. To escape the prison of overthinking, you don't need to fight harder. You need to step out of the game your brain has been forcing you to play. And that starts with understanding the first key: awareness. When you're lost in overthinking, your thoughts feel like the truth. I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. They don't like me. But psychology tells us this: a thought is not a fact. A thought is simply a mental event, like a cloud drifting across the sky. The problem is, overthinkers grab those clouds, analyze them, squeeze them, dissect them, until they forget the sky even exists. The first step is noticing. This is just a thought. It feels real, but it's not reality. The moment you name it, you weaken its grip. Instead of saying, "I'm failing," you say, "I'm having the thought that I'm failing." That tiny shift pulls you out of the storm and reminds you, you are not your thoughts. The second key is action over analysis. Overthinking convinces you that thinking more will solve the problem. But the truth? It's action that breaks the cycle. Imagine someone drowning in a river. They keep analyzing, should I swim left? Should I swim right? What if the current is stronger on this side? Meanwhile, the water pulls them under. The only way to survive is to move, to take a stroke, any stroke, and keep going. In life, the same rule applies. Don't wait until you're certain. Don't wait until every outcome is calculated. Take one small step forward. Send that email. Ask that question. Apply for that job. The moment you move, the cycle begins to break, because action creates clarity in a way thinking never can. The third key is time boxing your thoughts. Your brain loves to wander into endless spirals because you've never given it boundaries. Psychologists suggest setting a worry timer. For 10 minutes a day, allow yourself to overthink freely. Write down every fear, every doubt, every scenario. But once the timer ends, close the notebook, walk away, and refuse to feed the cycle again until tomorrow's session. By containing your worries, you teach your brain that it doesn't get to hijack your entire day. You are the one who decides when and where to think. The fourth key is mindfulness and grounding. Overthinking thrives in the abstract. It lives in the past and the future, places your body cannot go. But mindfulness pulls you back into the present, into the only reality that exists. Try this. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Suddenly, the courtroom in your head goes quiet. The trial pauses. You're back in the moment, safe, alive, and free. Each time you practice this, you weaken the hold of overthinking and strengthen the muscles of presence. But perhaps the most powerful key is this: compassion. Overthinking is not your enemy. It's your brain trying to protect you. It's an ancient survival mechanism that once saved your ancestors from danger. The problem isn't that you overthink. The problem is that you believe every thought that comes. When you begin to treat your thoughts with kindness, when you say, "Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me, but I don't need this right now," you transform the relationship. You stop fighting your mind and start guiding it. Compassion doesn't silence the thoughts, but it makes them softer, gentler, less threatening. Now, imagine a different story. Imagine lying in bed at night, and instead of spiraling into the past or the future, you notice your breath, the rise and fall of your chest. You feel the weight of the blanket, the softness of the pillow. You catch a thought creeping in. What if tomorrow goes wrong? And instead of chasing it, you smile and whisper, "Just a thought." Slowly, the noise fades, the storm quiets, and for the first time in a long time, you fall asleep peacefully. That is not just a dream. It's possible. The prison door is open. The hallway has light. And freedom is closer than you think. But here's the final twist. Overthinking doesn't disappear overnight. It's not a monster you kill. It's a habit you replace. Each day, you will feel the temptation to spiral, to analyze, to replay. Some days, you'll fall into it, and that's okay. Progress is not perfection. It's persistence. Each time you catch yourself, each time you redirect, you're training your brain. Over time, the loops grow weaker, the spirals shorter, the silence stronger, and one day, you'll look back and realize the thoughts that once controlled you are now just whispers in the background, powerless against your awareness. So here we are, the end of our journey, but the beginning of yours. You've walked through the haunted hallways of the mind, faced the courtroom of endless trials, battled the illusions of control. And now, you hold the keys. Awareness, action, boundaries, presence, compassion. 5 tools that can break the chains of overthinking